You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy Podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
He's good on those buttons again. He's good on those buttons. Welcome back to Three's a Crowd, the North East Football Podcast. You are joined by me, Rye. I've got Steve at Wraith and Ted, the hungover Mackham, next to me as well. Honestly, he's enjoying his holidays. Oh, we're not allowed to talk about that? Okay. That's the reason he's got
no, it's just too loud.
Another amazing week of football. A lot has happened, a lot to cover in this short hour, so we're going to crack on. We've got lots to talk about on the Newcastle front, signing their final striker. Will Liverpool come in for another bid for Isak? Time will tell. Wissa putting out a massive statement just before as well. We're going to talk about that. Middlesbrough, 4 from 4. Can you believe it, Borough fans? We are 4 from 4. Rob Edwards has got us flying. 4 games, 4 wins under the new regime of Rob Edwards. Going to discuss that and break down what is going right for Borough. And off to Ted the Mackham, who is 2 wins in the Premier League return. Can you believe it? Getting a late winner against Brentford last night. It was incredible. Watch that one, Teddy boy, and scenes it with William Isidore, who seems to have taken our corner flag to the Premier League, and he's not giving it back still. The absolute. But we'll cover all of that and more right here. Make sure you check out all of the socials at NUFC Matters, at Invictus, and at the Ted the Mackham for your current football gossip. Let's break it down with Newcastle, because there's a lot to talk about with Newcastle. So let's not shy around that. Massive signing yesterday, Stevie lad, getting your striker finally through the door. Walter, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. I'm going to call him Walter White because I love Breaking Bad. You've got Wissa, who comes out this morning and drops an absolute bombshell of a statement. To think of Isak's and then just, I mean, you can't compare them, but the statement that the Wissa has just dropped is absolutely incredible, asking Brentford to desperately let him move to Newcastle. And obviously, Isak, what happens there, Steve? Obviously, the reports are that we're hearing this morning is that Liverpool aren't willing to come back to the table for 130 million. Obviously, Liverpool have got another striker in Eteke that they signed. Will they come back in for Isak now, potentially, that he could get his move? A lot happening on the Newcastle front, Steve.
A hell of a lot, and there'll be a lot more to happen in the next 36 hours or so, because transfer window, of course, closes tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. I'm sure Eddie Howe will be breathing a huge sigh of relief that he doesn't have to answer any more questions after that. Voldemort, nobody had predicted that. Of course, he was on the list at the start of the transfer window, but there again, everybody was linked with Newcastle in that summer period. So for me, great that we've got a signing in. He's not a traditional number 9. He's more of a false 9. Probably playing the 10 role. Very good with his feet. 6'6", can score goals with his head, which of course is one of Isak's frailties. Could play with Isak. There's no doubt about that. Could be quite a poignant strike force if Isak was to stay. With Isak, it's a flip of a coin, lads. It really is a flip of a coin. I don't know what's going to happen with that, because I don't think Liverpool will come in with the money that Newcastle want. I think they'll come in and try and lowball again. And I just genuinely think that, with that kind of 10% or whatever it is that goes to Real Sociedad, with Newcastle's PSR, I think Newcastle will want to maximise it. And I think when you look at the comparison of players that have moved in this window, I don't think £150 million is an unreasonable fee to pay for somebody who scores the goals that he scores. So I think that Newcastle will hold strong for that. And I don't know what's going to happen with Isak. Wissa's statement, I won't read it out, it's too long to read, but
it's massive, isn't it?
You know what, lads?
There's no way a football has written that.
I sent that to both of you about 20 minutes ago when it went up on Craig Hope's Twitter account, and I think it's brilliant. I think it's from the heart. I think it's emotional. I think he ticks all the boxes with supporters, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I think he explains the situation, and it is completely different. It is completely different to the situation that we have with Alexander Isak. You just need to watch Sky Andrews' report, his interview on Sky this week, where he said, you can't do things on promises. It has to be in a contract, and Isak clearly hasn't got it in a contract. With regards to Wissa, he's clearly, in the same boat, I would suggest, in that respect. He mustn't have it in black and white. That is the one comparison that we can say is correct. However, if he has been given those if he has had those discussions and he has been allowed, the key in his statement was he's been allowed to go and speak to other clubs, then that is a bit different. And, he's been very clear. He's got to be transparent as a player. He can't just go and speak to other clubs. The fact that he's included that in there shows that he's been given that kind of, carte blanche to go and speak to clubs. And now that he's done that, let's see what happens. But I think I said to you, Ryan, before we came on air, Newcastle will not spend £65 million on a 29-year-old. Who on earth would do that?
Daft.
There's no way in the world people can do that. From me personally, I just don't see Newcastle doing that. So what's the alternative? Well, Larkin, of course, didn't play yesterday for Wolves. But of course, listening to the Wolves manager, he didn't sound as buoyant as Keith Andrews at Brentford yesterday. At Sunderland, he was saying that I expect Johan Wissa to be a Brentford player on Tuesday. The Wolves manager was almost very resigned to the fact that he probably won't have a centre forward come Tuesday. So if I was a betting man, I'd say Larson to Newcastle will happen. I think Newcastle will probably spend the money, and it would fit the remit with Newcastle, as well. I still, and I know some Newcastle fans will laugh at us, I'd still go for Vardy on a year's pay-as-you-play contract. Offer him the opportunity to come on transfer day. Get Larson in. You've got Voldemort, and Vardy is probably somebody who I would say pay-as-you-play, 20 grand a week, pay-as-you-play as well. You get a bonus if you score goals, this, that, and the other. Come and join us for the Champions League ride. And I tell you what, I don't think that would be a bad shout. Isak might have to. Isak was hammered yesterday in the away end. I was down at Leeds, and rightly so. He was lambasted.
We heard it.
and I was the only disappointing thing was that at the end of the game it was a dour game. It was a ball draw. It was awful. Creativity was at a minimum, and defenses were on top, goalkeepers were on top. It wasn't one for the purist, and it was deservedly last on match of the day when I got back home. But it was one of those situations where the players came over to clap us, and they were looking very, very. It looked as if we'd been beaten 5-0, and then fans started singing this Isak song again, and I was like, I was looking at them, and I'm thinking, no matter what happens in this situation, those players will see what happens when you how vicious we can be when we turn on a player. We'll see that. And there's a few of those players are best mates with Isak. You've got your Emil Crafts, you've got your William Masulas, you've got your Joe Willocks, maybe Murphy, I don't know, but those three in particular, and Alanga, of course, an international colleague.
International team, mate, yeah.
All of those players are listening to that, and I just those kind of things do have a negative effect. I'm glad. Normally, lads, I'll sit on this show and go, I hate the international break. I genuinely think it's come at the right time for us. This time, I think the international break's come at the right time for Newcastle United. This week should have really all been about getting 3 points against Leeds, having a centre forward, scoring goals, and it should have been about celebrating a wonderful Champions League draw. Our return to the Champions League gives us like a wonderful set of fixtures, and I'll just put this up here. But we've got Barcelona, we've got PSG, Bayer Leverkusen, Benfica, Marseille, PSV, Bilbao, and Union SG. And I mean, you know what? It's going to be tough. That Leverkusen game as well comes just before we go to Sunderland. But that's what you play for. If you want to be a big team and you want to be a team that competes, you need a squad to do it, and you need to be able to, to come in. But you know what? I'm still smiling, lads. It's not doom and gloom. We've got 2 points on 2 away games. We've got beaten off the champions at home. It's not where you are in the table in August. It's where you are in the table in May. And I've seen a lot of positivities and a lot of positive things from Newcastle's opening 3 games. It's not doom and gloom. I still think we'll win something this season, and I still think we'll qualify for Europe. Champions League might be a push because it always is when you're playing in Europe's top competition. But I think, I still think Newcastle to win a trophy this season and also qualify for a European competition. So it's not doom and gloom yet for me, right?
It's got a lot. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, there is the transfer window shutting tomorrow. Obviously, we're going to go over results as well and that Champions League fixture. But just quickly, obviously, we've spoken about the potential coming in. Can you see anyone leaving Newcastle in the next 24 hours, Steve? I mean, we've got the likes of Willie Masula, who will drop down the pecking order, obviously, if there is the Larsons and stuff. Lewis Miley, obviously, Eddie Howe's quite keen to work with him, but he's a young lad. Could he use some game time elsewhere?
To be honest, mate, anything can happen in the transfer window in the next 36 hours. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would expect at least another to go. Who? I'm not sure. I never criticise people on social media, but I will. I always use the podcast platform to maybe come out and give me honest opinion. Anyone at Leeds will tell you yesterday, Willie Masula's not up for the challenge. I don't even know if Willie Masula going out on loan is going to help his career. He doesn't read the game at all. He can't run through the channels at all. He's not a centre forward. He's like a headless chicken up front. And for me, when he gets the opportunity as well, he's not very good in front of goal. So for me, I would sell Asula. I would get rid of him. I don't think he was very good at all. And Lewis Miley, he's still young, but for me, again, I'm not sure whether he will make it as a Newcastle United player. He's got too much competition in that midfield. Tonali, Bruno, Joe Linton are our three. And I just don't see how he can get into that midfield at the moment. Will he be loaned out? I agree with Trolls. We've got too many games. I think from Miley's point of view, we'd probably fancy a loan move to get more games under his belt. But I'm not convinced by him, and it's very, very disappointing, really. That he's not really hit those standards. But let's see what happens. If I had to pick another couple of names out of our squad, which I wouldn't be disappointed to see go at the moment. We've signed Ramsey. Do we need Willock? Would anybody take Willock? I think Willock could go. And I'm not convinced by Harvey Barnes. And the more that I see Harvey Barnes play, yes, he's pitched in with some really important goals for us, but I don't think he's very good as a left winger. Gordon is our left winger. I think we need another. I think if there's another position to strengthen, it's a left wing. And I think Barnes is still worth a few quid to a team. I think Barnes could still do a job. So in the transfer window tomorrow, I think if we brought a centre forward and another midfielder in, and let's go left wing would be good. Graham, you're right. Lascelles as well. I think Lascelles could go. That's another potential. We got rid of Garen Coal this week on a permanent deal. And obviously, our old boy has now gone on loan and his contract is up. Matt Target.
Yes.
Great servant to the club, lads, at Newcastle. I think I said it last week. He was part of the team that kept us in the Premier League.
Excuse him that club.
You know what? He's a lovely, lovely guy as well. I've met him a couple of times, and a top lad. And we got him off the wage bill as well. So we've also got Ashby, Blue Rhythm Boy, saying his potential, and we have got Sean Park, who has come in, the young lad. Again, if Eddie can get a tune out of him, that means Barnes could go. You're right, Craig. But it's exciting. I mean, it's been an awful window as a Newcastle fan, and I know that I don't mean that in terms of incomings. I think it's been a great window in that respect. It's just been an absolute nightmare with this Isak situation, and I can't wait for 11 o'clock tomorrow. And I tell you what, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here if he doesn't get the move to Liverpool? What on earth happens? The fans will always support anyone wearing a black and white shirt. But it's a long way to go for him to get back in that team. And if Newcastle do manage to get Larson in or Wisser in, he's got two forwards ahead of him at the moment. So it's a massive 36 hours. Sky will be over the moon because they've got what they wanted. They've got what they wanted, haven't they?
Yeah, they certainly have. They've got a fantastic finish to this transfer window, especially when it comes to Newcastle.
Is it 7? Is it 7 tomorrow? Is it when it finishes? Is it 7 or
is 11? I'll get that confirmed.
11, I think.
I think it's 11.
Yeah.
I think
thought
it's
it was
11. Yeah. You got to get the old tax. The old, what is it? The old, when they used to like fax the old machine in.
I think the deal has to be agreed by 7, but the actual window closes at 11.
Yeah. Paperwork by 11. There you go.
That's right. Yeah.
On to the Mackems, who are high and flying. Before we talk about your performances, Teddy boy, let's talk about your next 36 hours in this transfer window. Obviously, the biggest one on everyone's lips is Lukumi, I believe, John Lukumi.
Yes.
Obviously, will he or won't he come? But let's talk about, obviously you've had a massive summer already. You've got pretty much the core group of your squad already together. You've done your transfer window business early. What can you see happening for the Mackems in the next 36 hours in terms of transfers potentially coming in? Will Lukumi get his move, or do you see anyone going out? Obviously, there's a few players now that have been pushed out of the team due to all of the incomings. Can we see likes of loans? Maybe Chris Rigg, who signed a new deal, could he go out on loan, or will he feature part of Sunderland's plans? Obviously, you don't have any of the cups. It's just Premier League to focus on. Not as many games as what Newcastle will be playing, but obviously still a very, we're limited to how many players you can name in that squad.
Yeah, I think it'll be mostly players who are going out as well, right? Dan Neil's kind of dwindling over, signing a new contract with us, so I think a decision might be made just to kind of let him go and see what we get for him. I can't see him getting into that side. I watched him play in the cup game against Huddersfield Town. To be honest, everybody was off their game apart from the centre backs, which leads me on to another possible person to go out, which would be Anthony Patterson. I think he'll be gone. You look at the performance from Robin Roofs in his first 3 games for us in the Premier League. He's been exceptional, to be honest. He had no chance with the goal that conceded yesterday. Other than that, his distribution is absolutely excellent. I mean, the guy's like pinging 70-yard crossfield balls and everything. He's doing the business for us, so it's really going to limit Anthony Patterson. There's another couple as well. Alan Brown, there's been a rumoured move to Blackburn, possibly on loan, possibly permanent. And greatest to respect Alan Brown, good championship player, very solid championship player, but he's not a Premier League player. So I think he'll be going out. In terms of signings coming in, Lukumi is obviously still, his agent and him are saying that they want the move. Bologna are kind of less keen to do that business because they haven't got a ready replacement. But I think if we offer the right kind of money, I think he could be coming in. There's a rumour of another 2 that are still potentially coming in, which one will be a striker, I think, and the other one will be arguably another winger, which we've got quite a lot of at the minute. But
you certainly do.
But in saying that, it balances out again because the likes of Paddy Roberts are probably, I think the writing's on the wall for a few of them. You look at Enzo Lafise starting yesterday, man of the match for me. He was absolutely superb all game. And, he started the first 2 games of the Premier League on the bench. So we're getting them that little bit of depth now in the squad where we can let the likes of Patrick Roberts go. We can satisfy that wage bill a little bit more and obviously make moves for players who we want. Bit like Newcastle's move with the German striker there, who I'm not going to have a go at saying his name either. Voldemort. Okay.
Voldemort.
I thought it was John Joe Shelby.
He looks like he should have been in a 1970s film, the kind that we used to watch, Ted.
Yes, absolutely. It's more like a Johnny Holmes type, isn't he? Yeah.
He is that.
Listen, I think if we do make any signings, there'll be real surprise ones. But I think it's going to be more so, like I say, letting players go out. Chrissy Rigg, it's an interesting one. He's obviously signed up till 2030 now. It's a long-term contract. I think Chrissy Rigg will stay and not be loaned out. I think he's the kind of player that I think you want Chrissy Rigg around somebody like Granit Xhaka. A left-footed centre midfielder like him. What an example to learn from, because he's an exemplary captain for me. Xhaka, he's putting his heart and soul into everything. And we're still getting goals through players who were actually there last season, which is just brilliant to watch. as for the performance yesterday, yeah, I was absolutely delighted with that. I think it was it had a bit of spice about it. It kind of like it was it was a bit more like a championship game, to be honest. There was a bit of blood and thunder about it. There was some tasty challenges. I must say, well done to the referee, who was consistent. Gave the penalty to Brentford for pulling down. There was a big remonstration from Reinildo about that. And yeah, you could say it was a bit of a soft penalty to give away. Roofs obviously went on to save it. But at the other end, the exact thing happened again. What we don't see enough of in the Premier League is consistent refereeing. Again, for me, Steve, you've played non-league, Sunday league stuff. If somebody's barging into you and you both go over in the penalty box, it's rarely ever going to get given. I think both of them are very, very soft penalties, but at least the referee was consistent. They're trying to get rid of this whole grappling in the box. So a big well done to the referee yesterday, because it was a lively game, and I thought he did a cracking job with it, to be honest. He got one decision wrong where one of the Brentford players fell over his own feet, but we're not perfect, are we? So yeah,
VAR
I think defensively. Well, yeah, they didn't bother with it apparently, but there you go. No, I thought the midfield again yesterday were just terrific, absolutely terrific.
Yeah.
It's not a grumble as such, it was an observation more than anything, is that our build-up play coming out from the back and into the midfield areas, we look really good, and we're starting to pop the ball about really nicely, one-touch stuff. Even the keeper's playing nice one-touch passes as well, which was great to see. It's just in that final third and playing that killer pass. That's probably the most difficult thing to do in football. I get that, but that's where we can improve next, and just increase that kind of that energy. Take the same energy as we've got in the midfield and move that in the final third, and I think we'll give teams problems this season. It was really, really promising to see, to turn around a 2-1 deficit, and what a week for Wilson Isidore, man. His birthday on Wednesday. His wife had the baby on Friday, then went and scored, after having zero sleep whatsoever, went and scored the winning goal in the Premier League. And he just loves it at the club. And he's, with everything else that's going on, and it's not a dig at Newcastle, it's not a dig at Brentford, but with everything else that's going on with Wissa, with Isak and players like that, from a guy to come on into a national and international interview and say scoring the winning goal for the club I love the most is just everything. Which
it's nice. Nice.
We just needed that. Football needs more people like him, without a doubt. Yeah. But it's we're going into the international break. I probably don't want it at this moment in time.
I'm the same.
The Burnley game was a disappointment. Don't get us wrong, but to survive in this league, we're going to have to make the stadium like a fortress. Yeah. And with that noise, that's it, mate. It's and the more late goals we get, the more belief there's going to be that we can leave it to the 95th minute, we're going to get a goal, and that's a great sort of feeling to have about the place. But we wake up 6th place in the Premier League going into the international break.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. You wouldn't have predicted that.
Absolutely
Quick question from the chat for you, Teddy boy, just to wrap up the transfer talk.
Yes, because I can't read it. I'm on my mobile.
How much have Sunderland spent in total? Do you know off the top of your head how much it is? Is it around the 200 million?
It's under 200 million. I think the net spend is something like 110, because obviously we sold Job, we sold Tommy Watson. He got his first goal for Brighton as well, which was great to see. Very similar to the one he scored at Wembley as well.
You can see that.
But something like 110, but it's not over yet, and we expect to see a couple more going.
There you go. Well, on to Middlesbrough and their next 36 hours. Obviously, the transfer window shutting for Middlesbrough as well tomorrow. What a start it's been to our season under Rob Edwards. 4 from 4, can you believe it, Borough fans? I was emotional last night. Obviously, Sunderland have broken the back that is Sheffield United for us. They were absolutely horrid. Obviously, the sacking of Chris Wilder, but Middlesbrough have got a big 36 hours. I can confirm right now for the podcast that Strelic will probably be a Borough player by the midnight tomorrow night. It looks like he's in the Riverside right now, underdoing medicals and everything like that. I'm very, very confident to say that Strelic will be the striker into Borough's doors the next 36 hours. As for outgoings, there's a few to come, I do believe. There's a few fringe players now that have fallen down the pecking order. Obviously, Middlesbrough have made 8 signings so far. That does push a few out. I can confirm Marcus Force will be going out on loan to League One club Bolton Wanderers. A good move for him, obviously proven at championship level, but his injuries have been obviously hampering him time and time again. The poor bloke just coming back from a torn hamstring is a natural finisher and will do well at League One if that was to scoop him up. Alex Gilbert is another name on everyone's lips. Will he or won't he? Mackay Hamilton, who Rob Edwards has said he'd love to work with, but can he get the game time? Another one that I need to breaking news for the Borough, obviously, as well, is Neto Borges, who was absent from the game yesterday, wasn't in the squad at all, is seemingly unhappy being bumped out of the order. Obviously, Darragh Lenihan came back. He's fit now. George Edmondson on the bench as well. You can see the likes of Luke Ayling, Alfie Jones and Dale Fry being our 3 centre backs being selected. So that pushes Neto Borges, unfortunately, down the pecking order. Will Neto Borges be happy to sit by, or will he get a move late in the window? That's one to watch for Borough fans as well. As for the goalkeeper situation, I can see a few people in the chat. I can confirm that Ivan Pandor, who is the rumoured target at Hull City, Middlesbrough will not be going in for him. There is no move for him, or there's no likelihood for him. There was talks earlier in the window about moving him on, but it looks like Middlesbrough are happy to settle with Tom Glover, Senny Dieng as backups to Sol Brynn, who's had a fantastic start to the season. So as I sit here right now, there is no movement for any goalkeepers for him at Middlesbrough's avenue, unless something shockingly was to come up. Whether Senny Dieng is happy to sit on the bench, he's obviously recovering from a nasty injury. Time will tell, but no movement there. We go into the international break at a bad time. We don't want it. We're absolutely flying. 4 wins from 4. And obviously this team's going to look a lot different in the next sort of 36 hours with a few outgoings who are the fringe players and obviously Strelic coming in. Will there be another surprise packet that comes in? I'm not too sure. I think Middlesbrough's business will be done after we sign Strelic, and obviously we move on a little bit of those players that are on the fringe as well. But massive 36 hours for the Northeast football clubs in terms of outgoings and ingoings. Will they get Isak off their books? Time will tell as well. So it's going to be an interesting watch. Lads, obviously we have got a lot to talk about now in the international break coming up as well. But obviously in terms of league positioning, Middlesbrough sitting first of the championship. I cannot believe it. Rob Edwards has come in and absolutely changed the belief of Middlesbrough fans left, right and centre. Middlesbrough finishing the end of last season down in the dumps, I want to say. We were all down and disheartened, and Michael Carrick wasn't doing anything to change our belief. Michael Carrick, I believe, and I was saying this to Steve prior to the show, Michael Carrick's going to be a decent manager. I do believe that. As for his one-on-one man management, he's fantastic. He knows how to, he's been there. He's done all the hard yards as a footballer. So he knows what these footballers are going through. He can reason with them. He can level with them. And apparently one-on-one, he became very, very good. As for his game management, well, we saw that in evidence, didn't we, last season, Borough fans, where his tactical substitutions, his tactical plan Bs and stuff like that is not there. We see now with Rob Edwards, Adi Vivesh and Harry Watling, the 3 coaches to come in. We made 2 subs at halftime yesterday, and it changed the game. We brought Matty Targett on, who had the most fantastic left-footed ball into the path of Tommy Conway to score the winning goal. And that was a substitution made by Rob Edwards at halftime. Sevilla Nipan, obviously the Lone Star, 19-year-old from Man City, looks like a wonderful, wonderful signing. We're not trying to fall in love with another Lone Star, but I tell you what, he's going to go a long way if he keeps up that effort, as Middlesbrough will be well aware with Ben Gannon Doak, I do apologize, as he changed his name just recently. But it's going to be a massive 36 hours. All 3 Northeast clubs don't seemingly think that we are finished. Sunderland may be the closest out of all of them, but as Ted was saying, Lukumi, what happens there? Do they have to go and get another winger if the likes of Patrick Roberts goes out? Mundell's still obviously injured as well. And then obviously Newcastle, one to watch there. We've got to talk about the results. We've got to talk about the league positioning as well. We've also got to talk about what we're going to do through this international break and what's coming up as well. But for now, I think we're about around that halfway point, Stevie boy, where I think we can get a little bit of a cat on a keyboard.
Overloaded this week with tweets.
There he is.
This one was sent to us by Ted, an unfortunate name for a shop in Napoli. That's all I'm going to say on that one. I did have this one loaded a while back as well. How is it?
Why do you have to name me?
How was it fair that Isak was allowed to wear Stone Island? Once Dubois saw the badge, what chance did he have? I meant to show that the other week. It was brilliant. Great tweet this as well. I still can't believe the size difference between Dan Burn and Anthony Gordon. And speaking of Anthony Gordon, here he is speaking after the 1977 Wimbledon semi-final after winning in 5 sets. Man United taking a rightful place this week after their Carabao Cup exit. And here is the ball from that Mbeumo penalty. Landed in my garden. And welcome to Manchester United. Hey, spectators, please do not shout, shoot, pass, get rid or hit it. We're trying to encourage the players to make their own decisions. And a quality interview from the Grimsby goalkeeper after the match. Reporter asked him how he was feeling. He said, a bit fuming to be honest. I'm a United fan and that was shocking. And here it is. Would I lie to you? I once spent 170 million on 3 attacking players to then lose to Grimsby Town from League 2. During the same game, whilst losing 2-0, our fans called for the game to be abandoned due to the rain.
Go on, Bob.
And
It does sound like a whopper, that, like, to be fair.
Yeah.
This created a load of memes, by the way. Here he was doing his snap attacks or whatever it's called. And here he was doing Operation, a game for the millennials. Unfortunate sponsors on football shirts, number 256. Glad I didn't go to the Christian Universal Ministry.
Wow.
Oh, no.
And Man United striker Sesko, every little helps, not available in Newcastle. And Twitter fallouts between footballers and fans. Ryan, all jokes aside, mate, I'd actually do you in. And Ryan's reply was, I'd hide in the back of the net, you'd never see me. And Greg Double on Twitter, lively friendly atmosphere at King's Cross as a load of football fans converge. American tourist, what language were those guys singing in? Those guys were Sunderland fans. And I can't believe Isak thought we really wanted to buy him, said the Scouser. Okay, we'll try and sell Bruno in January, says the Man City fan.
No.
Speaking of the rat himself, ironically, the man who refuses to work wants to move to Liverpool. And this Isak situation has created some wonderful shirts. There we go.
Wow.
Yes. And Bedsheet Brigade has often been labelled at Newcastle. Well, it's now hit Celtic. Sack the board.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And let's see how long it takes the lads to see what is wrong with this picture at Manchester United.
What was it a pet pigeon? What is going on?
A pigeon in the guy's hand. Top left.
Wow.
Well done, Ryan. Unbelievable. This was funny last weekend as well. Sheffield Wednesday fan. Our club are literally going through the worst time imaginable and we are still above United. If you couldn't write it.
They still are. Oh, they're the bottom two, but they still are.
Yeah, they still are.
Can't believe this is real, by the way. Man City fans with their phones out, laughing and smiling at Tottenham scoring a goal to beat them 2-0. That was mental. That is what is wrong with football.
Yep.
Top 3 this week are brilliant. Everton's first home game at the new stadium. This Dave Downey character. Where is everyone? Yes, went to Goodison Park. Incredible scenes at Notts County this week. Gordon Bennett came on. And the winner this week goes to our very own Ted.
Oh.
He got a bite, didn't he? He got a big one. We're going to need a bigger boat.
Oh, no.
And you lose to Burnley proves my point. You waited a week to come back at you.
He did.
And your reply was, your biggest flex was 2 games you lost. Your opinion's irrelevant. Offer a skinful and driving home tonight, are you? Oh, Ted.
I messaged him. I replied to him last night saying what you're saying this week. He hasn't come back to me, so he's obviously forgotten where he's parked his car or something. Yeah.
If you've got any tweets, please send them over to the lads if you've got their details, or you can email nufcmatterspodcast@1892@gmail.com. Got to be football related for this troll of the week, and we will play the clip.
Ted taking on Jermaine Pennant wasn't on my bingo card, I tell you that one.
The fact he came back to me a week later. Later.
We're going to have to try and get him on the show just for you, like one-on-one for him or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he could work something as complicated as a mobile phone. Like.
The Three's a Crowd podcast, the Northeast Footy Show, where we talk Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Sunderland once a week. We have got a lot more to talk about. Obviously, the transfer window, we've spoken about that in the first half. If you have missed anything, you can always catch it on the socials at Ted the Mackham, at Invictus, or at NUFC Matters. You can watch the show back at all. It is a time where we bring three teams that normally hate each other together for a bit of banter and a bit of laugh. We're going to talk about, I want to talk about something in the Carabao Cup quickly, lads, before we move on to what's coming up for Newcastle, Sunderland and Middlesbrough. The Carabao Cup has thrown up a bit of an interesting week. Obviously, we saw the likes of Grimsby Town knocking out Man United, and that obviously created a lot of memes for Ruben Amorim there. Obviously, what a shocking performance that was. Steve, I want to ask you quickly, just on Šeško, who has, funnily enough, done absolutely nothing at Man United, but Newcastle were very much rumoured with him and going in for him. Has it been a feeling of dodging a bullet there on Šeško?
100%, mate. Yeah, I mean, I've watched the games that he's played in, and I think the damning thing about him was that in a penalty shootout, he decided not to take one until was it 10th or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, cowardly.
I mean, the problems are still there at Man United, and the manager's lost the plot again, hasn't he, this week with his press conferences?
Yeah.
He doesn't so much speak in riddles. He just sounds like he's having a nervous breakdown. But I don't think he wants to be there, Amorim. No. And Melly Barnes constantly defends him. I just don't. I think you can't defend the indefensible. The sneak the result yesterday with a last-minute penalty. Controversial VAR decisions again, spoiling the Premier League. Chelsea's match, Man United's match. Needless to say, it's the cartel games that always seem to get the benefit. But for me, I just think they've signed a bit of a duffer there, and I'm pleased that we swerved that bullet. Voldemort, I'll not pig you. I know nothing about him. I don't watch European football. I haven't got the time to be sitting watching the German league, the Spanish league, the Italian league. But I know plenty of people who do, and they rate Voldemort quite highly. The only problem is when you're signing players from these leagues. Those leagues are not as intense or as quick as the Premier League, and those players will take time to adapt. So will Šeško adapt? Could he get a tune out of him at some point? You probably could, but not under this manager. And this manager is so stubborn. He won't change his system. He disagrees with anybody who dare question his tactics and stuff. I just don't think they've signed well. I think they've got too many individuals that haven't got enough. They haven't got a team ethic there.
Yeah.
He's affected the culture, though. Sorry, right.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Amorim he's affected the culture, and right, no getting away from this. Manchester United are a massive, massive club, like globally renowned club. And when you see a guy turning up to manage a club like that, and I know it's going to sound daft, but he turns up and looks like he's there to go and watch his kids playing football. It doesn't inspire the kind of respect that should be there for a job that big.
Yeah.
The likes of when Carrick was caretaker manager there, a Manchester United manager should be suited and booted. I'm sorry, because it deserves that amount of respect. For me, turning up in your latest pair of Adidas trainers and a tracky top and a white T-shirt over the top. Sorry, it just doesn't look like he gives a toss. He's just not asked.
Hands. Wouldn't watch the penalty shootout. Head in hands. Refused to watch.
Sorry, bro. If I'm one of his players, I'm going. Wait, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think that apathy spreads onto the pitch as well. And the performance against Grimsby was as dire as I've ever seen from Manchester United. And that's nothing. I'm not taking anything away from Grimsby because they were absolutely tremendous. felt weird cheering on a team in black and white, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But not something I'm going to get used to either. But yeah, like I say, it's a cultural thing that's wrong at Manchester United, and it needs to change. And I'm sorry, but Amorim is part of that problem.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. The question I want to ask you lads, though, is the Carabao Cup draw. Obviously, Ted, we don't need to worry about that because we don't really pay attention to cups. But obviously, Newcastle is still involved. But it has changed this season for the Carabao Cup, where they're not allowing current Champions League teams and current Europa teams to match up with each other in the next league. They want to try and avoid that. So what they've done is they've scheduled the next round of Carabao Cup fixtures so that all of those teams avoid each other, which has caused an absolute outrage on social media on it being fixed and yada, yada, yada. I want to get your lads' thoughts on that. Obviously, Steve, you are the Carabao Cup holders, but it's an interesting time. And I'll throw to you first, mate. As a Middlesbrough fan, going into the Carabao Cup, it's interesting for me to see that still we're in a competition where they're not allowing a natural draw selection, and obviously it was the same last year, but it's again prevalent this year of not allowing teams to meet each other just due to certain other competitions that they might be in. How do you feel about it?
I mean, for me, I understand why they've done it, but I don't think it's right. I think for me personally, a cup draw is a cup draw. That's the whole point of it. You know what I mean? And it's making a bit of a farce of it. It really is. And this isn't the first time we've messed with cup competitions. The first time we did it, I think, was when Man United were allowed to take time out of an FA Cup. They didn't play in the FA Cup. They showed the tournament such disrespect. Now teams who are in Europe come in later. Well, again, it benefits you when you're the team who's, like Newcastle, in this situation, we didn't come in until the next round, but it just makes a farce of it. I'm not a fan of it, mate, and I can understand why people are angry. I really can. Yep.
Teddy boy, obviously we're not involved anymore, but I think if we had have gone through to the next couple of rounds, to note that we cannot, obviously we go into the ball, we don't have anything to stop us from Europa or obviously Champions League, but to see that the teams that do getting and it's an easier one, they're trying to avoid the likes of Newcastle United facing off at Chelsea and all that sort of stuff. I just think it ruins the natural selection of it.
Well, it does, and I mean I've said this in the past, and it's quite apt that we're doing this right before international break, because I've always said that I think we should disregard the international break anyway. The reason we have big squads and academies is to bring players through, and for me, all teams, if it's a League Cup competition, then everybody from the league should be in from round one. It's as simple as that. And if you've got to play teams, players from your academy or players from your reserve squad, then that's what needs to be done. Because that then creates a bit more of a level playing field, and credit to Steve, because Steve said this last season before Newcastle were in the Premier League, and you were against it then, you're against it now, and I applaud your principles on that one, mate. And it's just creating this air of kind of exclusivity around the so-called Big Six, and Newcastle are kind of gate crashing that whole thing now. But it's to protect the likes of Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Spurs, and that lot, there just seems to be this weird little kind of clique, and that does nothing to stop the fueling of rumours of that clique just getting preferential treatment. And no, it's not right. It's absolutely not right, because all right, great. Somebody, Huddersfield, for instance, are going to get a great day against Man City. That's absolutely tremendous. That, but they're not going to get any further than that just because Man City are not being paired up with somebody like Arsenal. They could have Huddersfield could have avoided the big lads altogether and got through to another round, which means more income for them. So it's just football's pyramid yet again, stuffing the little man and keeping them down there and just turning the thumb screws a bit more.
Yep. No, I completely agree with you. I think it's an absolute farce, and I don't like seeing that way of drawing a cup competition. And I think obviously we do potentially see more nights like the Grimsby Man Uniteds, which I think is the fantastic for Grimsby on that night to host Man United, you know what I mean? The ticket sales and the coverage they got was incredible. Do you know what I mean? That's something a night that Grimsby fans will never forget. And maybe we see more of that by separating the teams, but it still just doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel, you know what I mean, like that there's a natural selection, because you now look at Grimsby potentially, getting a harder draw because, now that they have gone through. So it is an interesting one for me. Lads, before we move on to the international fixture and what we've got coming up from that, I want to go back and get a summary of how you have found the start of the season. What I wanted from you guys each, and I'll give you a little bit of time to think about this because I'll go first, is I want to know your biggest transfer in so far, your biggest transfer loss, who you think was the biggest loss in this summer. And obviously, I want to get a rating out of 10 for the first few games of the season, how you've seen your team finish in the first 4 or 3 games of the season out of 10. I'm going to start first. Obviously, for Middlesbrough fans, the biggest one on everyone's lips is Hayden Hackney. He hasn't left yet, but if Hackney was to leave, I think that's a massive, massive loss. We have got 36 hours to hold on to our star boy, but obviously the biggest one was Finn Azaz going midweek, and a little bit of a cheeky jab at the club on the way out, did Finn Azaz, saying that he's moved to a Premier League club and in Southampton, who are in the Championship, Finn. I'm not sure if you realise that, but they are in the Championship, same league as us, below us, by the way. I think, but honestly, losing him 15 mil, but it was similar to the Isak situation in kind of. I mean, Azaz had a fantastic season last year. He had the most goal assists and goals in the club and also in the competition. And we lost him for 15 mil because he was unhappy. He didn't want to play for Middlesbrough anymore. For whatever reason, he wanted to move down south again. And we've lost Finn Azaz for 15 mil. Big out, I think, because he was a fantastic player on his day. We did seemingly think he went missing on a few games, especially against the top sort of 6 or so. I remember the Sunderland game when Finn Azaz went completely walkabouts and let them steal our corner flag. So there's a few, there's a few times when I saw not the best attitude from Finn Azaz, and maybe he wanted out for a lot longer than we've known. But to get rid of him, I think hardest one to sort of take for Middlesbrough fans, but also an easy one once you hear how unhappy he was. But losing Hayden Hackney in the next 36 hours will be massive. As for the league position, how can I not give it a 10 out of 10? We're top! We're undefeated. We're the best team in the world, I tell you. Champions League, bring it on. Rob Edwards, I've got to give it a 10 out of 10. Coming at the end of last season, Michael Carrick, in his press conferences, he was more about, it's not really a must win and it'll be what it'll be and blah, 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 blah. And now Rob Edwards is just in your face with love, saying how the fans are on side. We're taking this club back to where it belongs. And the results have been absolutely fantastic. To see a defensive unit actually keep goals out has been incredible. We've got the best defensive record now after the first 4 games. We had the hardest start, according to Opta Joe, the old Opta stats, the hardest start in the Championship, and we've managed to turn it into 4 from 4. So how can I not give it a 10 out of 10? The things are looking very, very good after this start. But again, the big one for me in the transfer out, lads, is if we can keep hold of Hayden Hackney in the 36 hours. Teddy boy, I'll flip to you, mate. I want to know your biggest transfer loss that you can see and your biggest transfer in for the club, the best signing you could think, and give your start to the season a rating out of 10. Just
before I do that, I did watch the Middlesbrough game yesterday, as you know, because I popped in your little watch along and said hello to everyone. I thought Borough were really, really impressive yesterday, mate. I thought they were excellent, particularly the first half. I was getting a little bit worried that they weren't going to take advantage of the chances, but you absolutely nullified any kind of threat from Sheffield United. I was seriously impressed, and actually playing some really nice football as well. I think in Matty Target going and Britain, I thought Britain was absolutely tremendous all game.
So good.
Played some lovely passes as well.
So good.
Now, fair dues to the Borough. I thought you were exceptional yesterday. Really, really good. Deserved the win. On to the obviously the highest ranking teams in the Northeast in any league at this moment in time. It will be for the next couple of weeks. Steve, I've waited a long time to say it. You're just going to have to...
In our WhatsApp chat...
I'm just going to enjoy it.
In our WhatsApp chat, he said, who do we talk about first, the highest ranking team? And I went, see me in Sunderland.
I think Middlesbrough being first in the Championship means we're first in the world. I don't know if you've ever heard of that saying, but it is a thing.
Probably not. No, listen, I've been very impressed with the way we've gone about things. All right, we're at the Cup, but that was playing second string players, and I think we've found a lot about who we can actually put our trust in to come off the bench and help the team out when required in the Premier League, which is, that has to take the most importance out of anything. I know the old adage about like sort of, oh, well, we'll concentrate on the league. It's really important we try and everything possible to stay up. So out of the first 3 Premier League games, the 2 home wins, absolutely incredible. For different reasons, the performance against West Ham was so dominant, and I don't think West Ham were expecting it at all. Jermaine Pennant wasn't. So yeah, it was just a very, very good performance. The performance against Burnley, it did take the shine off it. I think with better finishing. Burnley didn't blow us away in that 2-0 game by any means whatsoever. But with better finishing from Mayenda in the first couple of minutes, losing Dan Ballard was obviously a big blow during that game. He's going to be out for 3-4 weeks apparently with a groin problem. But what do? We go out and buy a centre-back stroke right-back from PSG, and everything looks fine again. Mukiele was another one who played fantastically well yesterday. He's going to fit in no problem. Look, the signings we've made, for me,
number one,
the best. Robin Roofs, the goalkeeper.
Whoa!
Honestly, he just gives that defense so much confidence. He comes for crosses. He dominates. He's vocal. His distribution, his passing with his out of his feet is just sublime to watch. Honestly, he's better than some of our midfielders. Wow. He's and for 15 million, he just looks an absolute bargain. And quite well deserved his first call up to the Netherlands international team as well, senior team as well.
Yeah.
So him for me has been the most impressive. I think I've never thought I would say this. I think Tommy Watson is probably a bigger miss than Job.
Wow. I was going to ask you between those two.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, Job's run away from the Premier League challenge.
Yeah.
He really has, because he would have been part of that midfield. He would have been the weak link in that midfield, though, because I honestly think we've bought better in. Siddiqui is just another one who he just runs all day. His battery is absolutely phenomenal. So I don't think Job is a miss. Tommy Watson, he probably would have been in and out the side like what he is with Brighton, to be honest. Yeah. But that, on account of Tommy Watson actually rising to the challenge and going to another Premier League club, you've got to give him that respect and say he's probably the bigger loss.
There you go. And out of 10?
Because of the defeat at Burnley, I can't give it a 10 out of 10 star, but pretty damn close. I'm going to give it a good solid 8 out of 10 star.
Ooh, 8 out of 10, Stevie. They're obviously Sunderland coming to wreck your Premier League party, mate. They've been absent as we have for a long time, but Steve, obviously over to you, mate. The biggest incoming and outgoing. Obviously, we've seen all of summer the hatred we've got for Isak. But in terms of the incomings of who you've signed to right now, obviously barring what's going to happen in the next 36 hours, who has been your favourite or best signing that Newcastle have made? Who's been the one that you think you're going to regret that you've lost? And give your start to the season a rating out of 10.
I'd probably say, because we've pursued him quite a bit, Malik Chow, we needed a right-sided, centre half. Probably he's going to be the one who stands out as our best signing. Although Voldemort, I haven't seen enough of him. You'd like to think that he's going to hit the ground running and start putting the ball in the back of the net for Newcastle. As soon as the international break's over. Alanga's Tom's, but. I watched Alanga yesterday, and he's I think he's going to be hit and miss Alanga. I'm not overly convinced by him at the moment, but it's early doors with Alanga. But yeah, Malik Chow for me probably the best signing. As far as the transfer window as a whole, it's as important as the first one under the Saudis. I think because we needed a keeper, we've signed a keeper, we needed a centre half, we've got one. A right winger, we've got one. A midfielder, we've got one. And we need 2 forwards. We've got one. We need another one in the next 36 hours. So it's up there with one of the better ones, if one of the best ones that we've had it's in that period. And, because of the fact we've broken our record as well. We've spent the most money on Voldemort as well. So it's up there. I'd say it's a strong 9 out of 10 for this transfer window. And what was it? Start of the season?
Yeah, start of the season. The first 3 games. How do you rate that out of 10?
It's a 7 out of 10 because really the performances have been good. It's just we haven't been able to score goals.
Yeah.
Alexander Isak, a fully committed Alexander Isak plays in those 3 games.
Yeah.
Newcastle could have had 9 points. It's as simple as that. and the chances that we've created and they haven't been put away, they would have been put away by Alexander Isak. So I do think Newcastle could have been sitting top of the league with Chelsea tonight or this afternoon before the games kick off. But, that's not the case. So a solid 7, 2 clean sheets on the road, a narrow defeat with 10 men against the champions. It's not a bad start. There's plenty to be positive about. So for me, 7 out of 10 at the start of the season for that reason alone.
Well, the name on everyone's lips, obviously, from the start of the podcast, all summer really, has been Alexander Isak. I'm going to ask the lads now whether they think Alexander Isak is going to be a Newcastle player come Tuesday morning when the window has shut. Will Isak still be in Newcastle United colours? Will he be part of the squad, or will he get his move to Liverpool that he so desperately asked Fabrizio to tweet about every single day? Teddy boy, Alexander Isak, mate. Obviously, as Middlesbrough and Sunderland fans, we've kind of been sitting back having a bit of a chuckle about it, I must say, because it's obviously
not me.
Fantastic
not
to
me,
see
honestly.
Happening in my club.
No, honestly, I'm disgusted by any player who does that to a club and to their fans, and thereby the grace of God, it doesn't happen to us. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely unreal.
It's something that the media have they've lapped it up every single day. Yeah. Do you see Isak being a Newcastle United player come Tuesday morning? Window is shut. Is Alexander Isak still on the books at Newcastle United?
Well, I'm going to refer to Dr. Mick, who's staying here on holiday with us right now, and he came up with a very interesting thing. Good afternoon, Mick. He came up with an interesting idea, and I'll explain it briefly. I think he will still be a Newcastle United player on Tuesday. I think he will be sold in January.
Ooh.
Because in January, Newcastle United have a little bit more power. Because January, everybody needs certain specific players in January, and everybody pays that little bit more in order to get rid of them. Now, it would be in Newcastle's best interests to probably keep him on the books. I don't think he'll play. I don't think he'll be a part of the playing squad, but I think Newcastle will keep him on the books until January. They don't want him to, go to waste kind of thing and decrease his value. I think somebody will pay top dollar for him in January, and I think Mick's idea is really, really sound. So I'm going to say, yes, he'll still be a Newcastle United player on Tuesday. I think he'll go in January.
Do you see him, if he does stay in Newcastle, then just a second part to your answer there, do you see him getting any game time for Newcastle?
Not for the first team.
Wow, there you go. I honestly think he stays. I'm not too sure Liverpool are going to cop up the 130, 150 million that is warranted by Newcastle. I just don't see it happening. I mean, Liverpool have been playing hardball, and I mean, they sit there and they have their jibes and they have their laughs, but they've got as big a part to play in this as anyone. I mean, they're the one that have unsettled him. They've given him the hope that he could potentially get that move, and they still yet to offer exactly what is there. Fabrizio Romano tweeting just in the past 24 hours that Liverpool are waiting for Newcastle to open the doors. Well, it's not about opening doors. It's about making the offer and seeing if it's valued for the right amount. I honestly see Isak still being a Newcastle player, whether or not he'll feature. I just think he's gone too far. But behind fans' back and Eddie Howe and all that sort of stuff to be featuring. They've obviously made plans now to have a future without him. Whether or not he can break down those barriers. Obviously, he's still got friendships within the camp and stuff like that. I just don't see it happening, though. But, Steve, obviously, to you, mate, Isak, come Tuesday morning, mate, is he still going to be a Newcastle United player?
I think so, because I don't think Liverpool will pay 150 million. I think he'll be made to sit until January. I think it's a good point that Ted makes, and I do genuinely think that Liverpool deliberately lowballs, and we're seeing people in the chat say that Arsenal are supposed to be interested in Wissa now, which of course would make it even more difficult for Newcastle to sell Isak if Wissa's their first choice. So yeah, I think there's a lot of skullduggery gone on behind the scenes in this transfer window, and I think there's a bit more to happen before the end of it. But yeah, I mean, Wissa wants to come to Newcastle. I still think that can get done, and if he does come, maybe Newcastle will relent and maybe let him go for a little bit less, but it'll not be less than 130, I don't think. But a lot can happen in this next 36 hours. But do I think he'll still be a Newcastle player? It's a flip of a coin. Let's see, yes.
So if he does stay, Steve, do you see him playing for Newcastle United between now and January?
Can he be integrated? I mean, I would imagine he can in the team. I think the dressing room, as I say, will be split. I do genuinely think that some of the lads will agree with his stance and others won't. But once the transfer window shuts, you've got to get on with it. So his question next is, what do I do as far as fitness is concerned? Because clearly the training that he's doing isn't keeping him fit. He's only fit for 45 minutes, as John Dole Thomas for this game for Sweden over the course of the next couple of days. So I think he has to basically swallow his pride, apologise to the fans and apologise to his teammates and say, look, we'll have to crack on until the next transfer window. But it's awkward. It's really awkward. I don't know what happens.
It's going to be an interesting 36 hours for all three Northeast Cubs. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Three's a Crowd podcast, the Northeast Footy Show podcast, where we banter about Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Sunderland. Middlesbrough top of the championship table, 4-4. What a start to them. Sunderland are loving life in the Premier League, and Newcastle have got a lot to sort out in the next 36 hours in the way of Isak. Can they get some more faces in as they push on for a massive future of Champions League? We've got international break coming up for the next 2 weeks, but we will still put out a show next weekend. So make sure you are subscribed and like the channels. Check out at Ted the Mac.
Oh God, I'm in Iron Upper next weekend. I can't do that.
Okay, so we're not probably. You won't see us. Obviously,
I'll be in worse state than what I am now.
So we're going to work around old famous boy old here, Ted the Mac. Now he's in Premier League. See how much he can't make time for us anymore. Oh, I'm Premier League. We will be back when we can, obviously, to talk more Northeast football. Thank you for joining us today. Make sure you like, consider subscribing. Let us know down below with the comments as well on where you think Isak will end up, and we will see you on the next Three's a Crowd podcast.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat. It's a promise.